Okay.
She said it's on.
Can you hear me now? Okay. I know.
Okay, welcome. This is a special event for us today. It's the 5th day of Hanukkah, and we're just finishing celebrating Christmas and Advent. But David is an amazing storyteller, and we thought it would be a neat idea to just learn about Hanukkah. So let me tell you a few things. If you've got a cell phone, if you could turn them off just during the time. If you need to go to the restroom, they're out this door and there are some signs, and I've left some lights on. Right as you see that kitchen, it's right back through that door. What else is there? This lasts about 45 minutes to an hour. Afterwards, we're going to have a reception in the fellowship hall, and come join us because he brought some dreidels. So he's going to teach us some of the games Jewish children and all play, and then we've got some snacks that are traditional to be served during Hanukkah. So enjoy.
All right. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I just interrupt?
Oh, yeah.
If you want to make donations to this, I've got a bucket here for afterwards. Yeah, thank you.
Blessed art thou, Lord our God, King of the universe, who has sanctified thy commandments and has commanded us to kindle the Hanukkah light. Blessed art thou, Lord our God, King of the universe, who didst perform miracles for our fathers and mothers in those days at this season. I always open up this type of a storytelling with a story that comes from the Zohar, the Book of Splendor. This is the alphabet of creation. And at that very moment, when Hashem, God himself, sitting on his diamond throne, said, "It is time," and all the angels surrounded the diamond throne of God. Blessed be his name. And God raised his hand and summoned the alphabet of creation. And through fire and sound, they all appeared in front of Hashem, God. And they waited. And God, sitting on his diamond throne, said, "Each one of you are to tell me why I should begin the first day of creation with your sound, with your letter." And each of the alphabet, the alphabet, Bereshit, I should be the first. Beth is my name. Bereshit means in the beginning. Gamma, Gimel, Lem, Mem, Nen, Zion. They all put forth their argument as to why they should be the first sound of the first word of creation. And God, blessed be he, looked around the court of heaven and saw, standing over there behind the robes of the adversary, little Aleph, small little Aleph, trembling. And God said, "Come, Do not be afraid. Come. And little Aleph came forth and stood in front of the great Hashem, God himself. Tell me, why should I begin the word of creation with your sound? And Aleph trembled and trembled. Says, I have no sound. I am the intake of breath before you speak. And God reached down and picked Aleph up. No sound to all sound. Nothing to everything. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Echad. And thus creation began. And thus the great Hashem, God himself, the wonder of the universe, told us to share stories. And I have stories. Oh, do I have stories? Let me tell you. I might slip in and out of accent, so, give me a little bit of grace on that one. And who here knows the story of Hanukah? Raise your hand. Okay, we got two at least. Some of you probably have heard it, but not certain. And it just so happened, I was told this by my mother, who was told to it by her mother, by her father, by all the way back. And in that time, long before we were ever around, long before your ancestors' memories, when Israel was its own kingdom, Antiochus Epiphanes had decided to bring the Greek culture. Culture, you know what I'm talking about, culture. And there were those who would say, oh, okay, I can be Hellenized, no problem. But there were those who kept to the law of God, to the Torah itself, who said no. And they were called the Maccabees. And they left Jerusalem, and they went to Modi'in. And there they stayed. And there they fought against Antiochus Epiphanes. They fought against the Hellenized. They fought against the great Syrian army, a small ragtag band with small weapons, against a great army. And it was long, and it was a fierce battle. And they finally took Jerusalem back. And then, they looked around. And what do we do? Quick, let us go to the temple. And they went to the temple, and what do you think they saw there? They saw all sorts of idols. They saw all sorts of strange, unclean things. We must re-sanctify this temple. We must, because God has told us to. And so they did. They scrubbed and they cleaned and they broke down the idols and they threw them out. They even took the altar which had been used for animal sacrifice and took it and threw it out and went and carved a new altar for the temple. And going through the back area, they found the great 8-branched menorah. And they pulled it out to the temple itself. And they polished, and they sang, and they polished, and they sang, and they cleansed. How are we going to light it? For all the oil that we could find has been used, but little Avram, there's always a child in this. Little Avram said, hey, over here, I found an unbroken seal. Come, here is a jar of oil. But is it enough? Would it be enough for 8 days of celebration? So, what they did was they prayed. Oh, they prayed so hard. And they took the oil and they put it into the cups all 8 days. And they prayed, let this light so shine. And guess what? It happened. That oil lasted for 8 days. And that is why we have 8 candles on the Hanukah. And that is the story, as I was told by my mother, who was told by her mother, who was told by her uncle, her aunt, and all that. That is the story that I was told as to the story of Hanukah itself. And did you know, my friends, Jews are everywhere, everywhere, not just in Europe, not just in Israel, not just in the U.S. Did you know that there are Jews in India? What? Yes, the Beni Israel. Now, how they got there is interesting, for there was much trade and much merchant going hither, thither, and yon. And there were Jewish merchants who lived there. And they fell in love with the local ladies. And the local ladies converted. And they became the Bene Israel. They became the Jews of India. And this is a story that I think that he will like. I think you all will like. Do you know what a dosa is, first of all? It's like a pancake. And this is the queen of the Hanukah dosas. Oh my goodness gracious, let me tell you right now. Little Sarah, oh, she was a mess. She was such a big girl for 4 years old. And she always was into everything. She was over here and she was over there. Oh, my goodness. And she talked to her. And her amma, her mother, said, hey, over here, over here. No, you can't do that. Don't play with the cows, no. But little girl, she was everywhere. And she loved to climb. Oh, she loved to climb on top of things. She loved to climb into cabinets. She loved to climb into tables and chairs. And her brother Sahib, why did you send this to me? Why do I have to put up with her? But anyway, she was well loved. She was well loved. And one day, her amma, who was her grandmother, said, hey, come with me. We're going to the market. We need to make the dosas, the Hanukah dosas. Really, Ma? Amma, can I go? Amma, she asked her mother. And her mother said, do you think you can deal with her? And Amma, the grandmother, said, yes. So together they walked to the marketplace and they said hello to people they knew, and their friends told them, Happy Hanukah. That is Hanukah, right? We're not Jewish, but we know you are. Oh, yes, it is. And so they bought a lot of lentils, and they bought spices, and they bought fruits, and they bought nuts. And they came back to their home. And there it was. Oh, she was climbing everywhere. Oh, I want to work. I want to help. Girl, get off of the table. You'll knock things over. But what can I do? What can I do? You can just stand here and you can watch. So Amma helped Amma, the mother, to pound and grind the lentils, to make the spices, to mix it together into sambar, which you would use to dip the dosas in for sweetness. And everything was going well until Uncle Sunil came, knocked on the door. Yeah, you can use the doorbell. Go see who's at the door. So she went, the little girl went. She opened, Mr. Sunil, come in. We're so happy to see you. And we're making dosas, and they're going to be so good, and I'm so happy. And shh, calm down. And so they did. They had a grand time talking and singing and listening and watching Amma and Amma fry the dosas in the oil and the ghee and making the sambar. Oh, it smelled so good. Oh, we need to go outside right now and walk in. So the whole family went outside the front. But little did they know that the door locked and they could not get back in the house. Now, Amma, grandmother, had gone upstairs to take a nap. And they couldn't get in. And they knocked and they beat on the door and they called, Amma, let us in. But they couldn't wake her up. Oh, what are we going to do? What are they going to do? The dosas will get cold. And the sambar will be warm and it won't be good. What do we do? And they walked around and they walked around. And they found that one of the windows was propped open. But no one was small enough to go through the window except for the little one. And they said, okay, come. Now you have to go in and you unlock the door and then run upstairs and wake up Amma. And I pushed her through the windows and she sat on the table. She was clapping, I'm inside. And they said, unlock the door. I'm inside. You are outside. Nah. Oh. And then her brother said, He took it and he started to sing. I have a little dosa, made it out of doll. And, oh, they are so yummy that I ate them all. I had a little dosa who's made it out of doll. And they were so yummy that I ate them all. And little girl, she just clapped it. Oh, okay, I'll go open the door. And she went and she unlocked the door. And she let the family in, and she ran upstairs. Amma, wake up. We're all here. We have to eat. Come. What? Okay. So Amma, grandmother, she comes down the stairs. And there they are. All the doses that you can eat with all the sambar. And they lit the candles. And Papa, he sang the songs and made the blessing. And everyone had a grand time. And what do you think happened? They had a paper crown, and they put it on her head. And her father picked her up, put her on his shoulders, and danced around, for surely she was the queen of the Hanukah dosas. Oh, now where do we go next? Let us see. We've been to India. Oh, now let's go to Israel. Oh, now this is a story that happens, and it's been a tradition in Israel since the founding of the country itself. It's the Hanukah torch relay. Now, it starts in Modi'in, and they run all the way down. They take the torch down into Jerusalem. And this is the story of the Hanukah relay. Oh, little Ali and Anna, they were so excited. Oh, we're going to be in the relay. Oh, we're going to run. And they went and they trained every day, and they ran and they ran and they trained every day. And what do you think happened? Little Ali fell and broke his leg. Now, this is a relay. It did hurt a whole lot. This was a relay of torches. Of a torch. And how was Ali going to carry the torch if he had a broken leg? And Anat was a little bit too young to run in the relay by herself. But they had a plan. What they did, they all got into the van and they drove up to Modi'in. And they pulled out a wheelchair. And they put it down. And Ali leapt into the chair. And Anat said, I can push him. He can carry the torch. And I can push him. And their father said, what do you think? As he told to his mother. Well, we can drive slowly behind them to make certain nothing's going to happen. And that is what they did. Ali was in the chair holding the torch. Anat was behind, pushing, and behind them was the van going slowly. Were they going to make it? Were they going to make it in time? Oh, I don't know. What do you think? You don't know? Okay, well, listen and you'll find out. And so it was. The people saw them on the sides, and they were lighting. And, yay, here he comes. And look, Anat and Ali, she's pushing him in a wheelchair. I heard that he broke his leg, but he got the torch. And they made it. They made it in time into the temple square, and little Ali handed the torch to the chief rabbi. And the chief rabbi took it and said, I see you've made it. And Anat said, yes, it was my idea to push him in the wheelchair. It was my idea. And Ali said, oh, shh, he's talking to me. No, I'm talking to your sister. And I'm very happy to be able to do this. And he said, come. And the chief rabbi took Anat's hand, and they walked up the steps to where the great menorah was. And he lifted her up, and he said, here, take the torch. Light the shamas, the helper candle. And that's what happened. Little Anat helping her brother in the Hanukah torch relay from Modi'in, where the Maccabees were buried, all the way down to Jerusalem, with everybody cheering and singing and dancing. And oh, they were so tired. Well, the parties were over. It's time to go home. Come, let's go into the van, the father said. And the mother said, hey, I'll help you. And little Anna, she was just yawning. Oh, I'm so happy. Oh. And she fell asleep. Oh, I'm going to have to put the chair in myself. Come on, Ollie, you can get in. So Ollie was helped into the back of the van. They folded the wheelchair, put it in, closed the door, turned the van on, and they all went home. So happy to have been in the torch relay. Oh, there are so many of those stories. So many great stories. Oh, now, who knows where Uzbekistan is? Who knows where Uzbekistan is? Oh, you didn't study geography in school. Uzbekistan is south of Russia. And this is a story of the festival of 8 dancing girls during the dancing the 8 times. Little Aneth, little Isa, and little Joanna. Oh, they were great dancers. They were teenagers, and they were great dancers. And they always danced for the family during Hanukah. And they would be in their beautiful outfits and their jingling bracelets. We have to practice, we have to practice. No, you don't, said their mother. You have to help clean the house. You have to help get things ready. You have to help go get your parents and your grandparents and your cousins and your sisters and your uncles. You have to help. You don't have time to dance. But Mama me. So, all right, so they were cleaning house and jangling their bracelets because they knew they were going to dance at Hanukah. They were going to dance when the candles were lit. Oh, they were so, shh, I can't hear myself think about the recipe. Stop jangling your bracelets. Yes, ma'am. And so they would take breaks, and they would go and they would practice their dancing. Oh, it's going to be such a grand time practicing their dancing and being ready. And so it was. They made their dinners. They made the jahur, the great stew with chicken and potatoes and tomatoes and spices. They made the latkes. They made the salads. They made the great yogurt drinks. And oh, they were so happy. And they put on their most beautiful clothes. And they waited. The girls did. They waited. And so it was, the family came. Oh, it's so good to be here. It's so good that you were able to come. I hear, oh, that smells so good. Yeah, well, yes, of course it is. I made it. So here it was. And then, as people were sitting and eating, where are your girls? I don't know. Girls, where are you? Jingle, 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 jingle. And the girls came out in the most beautiful dresses and the most beautiful headdresses, and they had their bracelets, and they danced. Oh, they danced around the table. They danced around the house. They danced around their family, and they finally sat down and ate. Though Uncle Sunil was there, and he said, I have a request. Yes, Uncle Sunil, what is it? Well, we have 8 days of Hanukah. This is the first day. You're to come dance at my house tomorrow, but I want different dances. And that's what happened. And so the next day, the girls had on their beautiful gowns and their headdresses and their bracelets, and they went to Uncle Sunil's house, and they danced for him. That is what happens when you are celebrating light and peace and joy and liberation, and you dance, and oh, they danced. And where do we go next? Oh, let me see. Let me see where we go next. Oh, open my favorite book. Oh, we go to the Jews in China. What? Yes, there are Jews in China. Remember, Silk Road, merchants. Remember the Portuguese. Remember the explorers. And there were Jews on those explorations. And they went and they fell in love with the locals, and the women converted. And it was a little bit different trying to do Hebrew and Chinese, but it kind of worked. It kind of worked. And there's a great story about the rabbi who was everywhere. And this is the rabbi who was everywhere. Now, in the town of Nanking, there was a beautiful synagogue and a wonderful rabbi, Rabbi Ming-She Joachim. Now, in Chinese and in most Asian languages, the family name comes first. So, Rabbi Ming-She Joachim, though people called him Rabbi Joachim, they got to know him. And it was said that he had mystical powers. You know how children talk. You know how people talk. And so it was that little Ming-Sa would watch. He's got to be doing something. He must be a magician. You can't be a rabbi and a magician. Shh! He can hear us. I know he can. Because I heard he is everywhere. Really? Yes, what I heard. You know how you hear stories. That was what her aunt would tell her. You know how you hear stories. So Rabbi Joachim, he had a great congregation, and oh, they loved him. But there was something a little bit different about him. A little bit different. Great things would happen when they were in his presence. Oh, the cows gave great milk. The cats and the dogs behaved. The geese did not chase anybody. The chickens laid the best eggs. Oh, in his presence. I told you he must be a magician. Shh! You can't say that about a Rabbi Joachim. And so it was. It became a time close to Hanukah. And they were in the synagogue. And after the benediction, everyone was talking to Rabbi Joachim. Well, come to our house, come to our house, come to our house, come to our house. Well, he was not married, which is strange for a rabbi. But, hey, Rabbi Joachim. And so he said, well, I'll think about it. I'll think about it. I'll think about it. And there it happened. On the first night of Hanukah, after they lit the candles and they sang the songs, there it was. He's here. And little Ming Tsai opened the windows. The rabbi's with us. The rabbi's with us. And little Tanya, who lived down the street, opened the window. No, he's with us. He came in the house. And another one. No, he's with us. No, he's with us. No, he's with us. No, he's with us. Well, I saw him in the synagogue. Well, I saw him in the marketplace. Well, he's at my house. No, he's at my house. No, he's at my house. He was the rabbi who could be anywhere and everywhere. For he loved his congregation. And he loved telling the stories. And he loved the children. And they loved him, and he loved the geese. The geese did not chase him. Nope. The dogs and the cats behaved. The birds sang their sweetest. And he always just smiled. Always just smiled. And that is the story of the rabbi who was everywhere. And where do we go now? Do we go to another country? Oh, we go back in history. We go back to the Warsaw Ghetto, World War II. Now, if you don't know about the Warsaw Ghetto, the Nazis had invaded Poland, and they told all the Jews they had to go in here. In this place, there were as many as 10,000 Jews in 4 square blocks. And they were not walled in, but they had gates and they had guards. But not all the Jews went. Some of them just ignored it and knew about their own lives. Except one. Except one. He couldn't deal with it. Ephraim Slavachich. And Ephraim Slavachich said, we cannot let this happen. We cannot let this happen. And he gathered his friends. He gathered the men and the women who did not go into the ghetto. And they made a plan. They were going to be the Warsaw Maccabees. They were going to be the freedom fighters. But how is this going to happen? How is this going to happen? They couldn't get in, or could they? So each one would waylay a Nazi guard and grab his clothes and dress themselves. And they snuck in. They could go in because they thought they were Nazis. The people thought they were Nazis. And they went in and they smuggled in what food they could. They smuggled in guns. They smuggled in gasoline. And you know, gasoline makes Molotov cocktails. And they made plans. We are going to liberate this place. We're going to have a great uprising. If only the people would listen. And many of them started. They started listening. And how is it going to happen? What is going to be the alarm? What is going to be the time that we know that we have to do the uprising? When will we fight back? And it was decided that one of the resistors would go to the synagogue that was mostly in ruins and find the shofar, the ram's horn, and smuggled it in, and that's what he did. And another member of the resistance went, and what she told each of the families who could, you will hear the shofar blow three blasts. That is when you light a candle in your window, even if it's just one. For then we will know that you are safe, and that if we need to run, we will be safe in your home, and we can fight from there. And so, it was a usual night. People had gone back into whatever you want to call a home. The guards were at the gates. goose-stepping back and forth. What are you doing here? I'm here to relieve you. That was one of the resistors. Oh, okay. Turns around, wham! Knocked him out. Tied him up. Grabbed his gun. Dressed himself. Another one. What are you doing? Why are you here? I am here to relieve you. Oh, sister, I have heard about you. I have heard that you are a great female warrior. You are a great Aryan. He turned his back and she, wham! Got him in the side of the head. Knocked him out. She took his uniform. She took his guns. And she took the keys to the gate, to the great gate that opened up. She put it in. And all was quiet. Nothing. You couldn't hear anything. Nothing at all. And they slowly walked in. Slowly. And then, in the distance, 2 blocks over, you could hear the shofar, the 3 blasts, to tell the people it is time to rise up. And lights, candles appeared in the windows for safety. And the armies were coming, and they knew something was going on because they could hear also. Guns came out. Molotov cocktails came out. Men and women. The great battle it was. Children throwing Molotov cocktails, bursting into flames. And the great Warsaw uprising, the ghetto uprising. And these people are always remembered. These people who went to liberate, they're always remembered. The uprising did what it could. It was put down. Though many escaped, those who were left to die of starvation. And it is said that if you are in Warsaw 2 days before Hanukah, you might see lights flickering in particular windows. And you would know that the people who lived there were somehow of the family of the resistance. It is also said that on the first night of Hanukah, in the distance, if you listen, oh, so closely, you could hear the 3 blasts of the shofar summoning people to liberation. May their memories be a blessing. That was pretty heavy, wasn't it? I would highly suggest you read about the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. It's fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Oh, let us see, he said. One moment. Oh, come on. Oh, good. This comes from Cartagena, Colombia. Now, these are Sephardim. The Sephardim, you've got basically you have the Ashkenazi, who are the Eastern European, the Germans, the Hungarians, the Russians, and then you have the Sephardim, who are the Portuguese and the Jew and the Spaniards and North Africa. And this story that I'm going to tell you comes from Cartagena, Colombia, because of all the migration to the New World. Joaquin de Santiago. What can I say about him? No one really liked him. Oh, he did the best he could. Sometimes he would have to steal food. Sometimes he would steal an animal and sell it, then buy it back and sell it to someone else. Oh, he was a tricky one. But one person knew all about Joaquin, and that was his mother. It's always the mother, you know. The mother always knows. So Joaquin, he said, "Oh, Mama, no sé oportunidad. I know of no opportunity. I don't know what to do. How are we going to do it?" And she says, "Trust in God. That's all you can do is trust in God." Dios mío, Mama. That's what you always say. Trust in God, and it will be provided. Now, Mama had an old lady that lived in the shack behind the house, and she never bothered anyone. But it was rumored, mind you, that she was a witch. The witch of Cartagena. But people left her alone because they were afraid of her. But she was just an old lady living by herself. She had not many friends, and the friends that she had already died. So she was basically alone, and Joaquin's mama took her in, tried to take care of her, and did the best she could. But the old lady never walked out into the marketplace, never left anywhere, just stayed around. And there it was. Joaquin, he would go steal money, clothes, food. He would buy a horse and then go sell it to someone else for twice the amount. Then he would steal sheep and do the same thing. So life went on. Now the synagoga, as they say, was getting ready for the celebration of Hanukah. The only problem was that the roof had fallen in. And it was the rainy season. And the best they could was to put a canvas over the top, a tent over the menorah. But no one could find a dry match because it had rained so much. Everything was wet. No fires would burn. So people were kind of wet and chilly, if you know what I mean. So everyone gathered in the synagogue to light the candles of the menorah, to remember the liberation and the cleansing of the second temple. But no one could light the candles. And a murmur started. Do you see who's coming? She never goes anywhere. Why is she doing here? I hear she's a witch. Why is she coming here? And the old lady who was in the shack behind the house with her cane and her rag shirts and dress and her head covered with a ragged kerchief came into the synagogue. And people moved away. And she walked down to the menorah that was under the canvas awning. And she started to pray. And she prayed so hard you could feel it. You could feel it, people. And the people were like, why do I feel strange? Why is it suddenly almost hot? Why are we hot? Why are we hot? And I tell you right now, from above, a flame began to descend. all by itself, flickering, flickering. And it came down and it lit the first candle on the menorah in the ruined synagogue under the canvas awning. And she, the lady who had done all the prayer, turned and walked slowly back down the aisle to the doors and walked out. And that is definitely a Hanukah miracle. And I have one more story for you. And guess where we're going? Anyone want to venture a guess? Oh, come on. Almost. You're close. I have a whole story program on the Jewish cowboys. Yes, they were Jewish cowboys. And this is a story. And I'm going to tell it like this. I'm going to put on my best strange accent, and I'm going to talk like this. And this is called Hanukah on the High Plains. Now, you know the High Plains are up around Amarillo and all that whole area up there. And I tell you right now, this was after the last of the great cow trains up to Chicago, taking when they would do that. There was this one cowboy's name was Curly Joe Moscovitz. And Curly Joe was the best cowboy you done ever seen in your life. And he was so happy because up in Chicago, you know Chicago, he married Hattie Mae Greenbaum. And they were so happy. Now, Hattie Mae did not know that Curly Joe was going to come back to Texas. She was his wife. She said, okay. So they come down back to Texas. They're up on the high plains. Curly Joe was no longer doing cattle drives. And he built a house. He raised some cows, and he had some horses, especially the horse that he always rode when he was on the cattle drives. And Hattie Mae made the best house she could, considering what she could get. So here it was. It's going on Hanukah time. And Hattie Mae says, now, honey, and he said, what, baby? Now, honey, this is the first night of Hanukah, and I'm going to try my best to make some latkes for you. Ooh, I love them latkes, and I love it when you cook them just right. She says, okay, don't worry about it. I'll do it. And then they heard a boom, 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 boom. Oh, and Curly Joe said, oh, Posse, that's his horse. Posse's done escaped the barn. I got to go get him. And I'll tell you this, I know exactly where he's going, and I'll be back. But if I'm not back before sundown, you go ahead and you light that candle and you put it in the window, okay? I know how to get back, don't worry. She said, well, honey, Curly Joe, honey, you be careful now, all right? Because it's just getting close to, and I think it's going to be a snowstorm because I can feel it in my bones. Okay, I'll do what I can. You just be careful. I'll be back. So Curly Joe, he just starts going, calling it, Posse, Posse. Here, boy, here, come here. Where you going, Posse? And walks and walks and walks. But he went down to where they would go, and that Posse could get some fresh water and some fresh green grass, and he knew that that's where Posse had gone. So he walked on, and he walked on, and the cabin got smaller and smaller and smaller in the distance. And so it was. There he was. At that place, there was Posse eating on some grass, drinking some water. Oh, Posse, 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 come on, baby. You come on, boy, we got to go home. I think there's going to be a snowstorm, and I don't want you to be out here by yourself and get lost. Oh, Lord, what am I going to do with this horse? So Curly Joe got the bridle and the reins and put it on Posse and started walking back and started leading him home. And guess what happened then? The blizzard hit. Oh, the winds began a whooshing and a whopping and a weeping, and the trees were going back and forth, and the snow was coming sideways and upways and downways and all ways. And you could barely see anything. Oh, how are we going to get? Oh, my God, I'm glad I have something warm. Oh, I'm so glad I brought that blanket for Posse, but how are we going to get home? And, oh, I can't see anything. It's too dark. It's too much. And then, with God as my witness, that's what I was told. Then a light right in front of them appeared, real small. And it got larger and larger and larger and larger and larger. And Curly Joe says, oh, my God, what is this? Posse, but Posse was just standing there, very, very calm. And he became what they call a nimbus. And standing in the middle was a man. Best cowboy hat you done ever seen. Nice heavy jacket. Nice spurs and boots. Holding a candle. And he said, hey, Curly Joe. How do you know my name? Shh, shh, shh. Curly Joe. Don't you know who I am? No, I don't know who you are. I'm Elijah. I've come to take you home. Hannah Mae is waiting for you. So follow thee. And so he did. And they got closer and closer and closer to the cabin. And the prophet Elijah, in all of his best cowboy outfit, slowly disappeared. Because in front, you could see the candle in the window that Hattie Mae had put there. And he goes and he puts Posse up, rubs him down to keep him warm, closes the barn door, locks it to make certain. Gets back into the house, closes the doors, knocks the snow off his shoes and his boots, and shakes out his coat and puts it over by the fire to dry out. And Hattie goes, oh, honey, the strangest thing done happened. What, baby, what? Well, I went and I lit that candle, the big first candle of Hanukah, and it was in the window. I went over to stir the stew, and I turned around, and the menorah was gone. It disappeared. I went running over there to make certain it hadn't fallen on the floor. Nothing. Are you sure about that, baby? Are you sure? Yes, honey, I am sure. Come here, I'll show you. And they walked over to the window, and there it was. There was the menorah in the window with the candle burning. And Curly Joe said, honey, you would not believe what happened to me. So he told her what happened about being led back by Elijah dressed as a cowboy. And they sang the songs, and they lit the candles, and they said the blessing, and everybody was so happy to be there, and it was warm inside, and oh, it smelled so good. And Hattie Mae said, honey, I got something to tell you. Okay, what? And she takes his hand and she puts it on her belly. And he said, uh-huh. And he went, oh, Lord, I'm going to have to learn how to make a dreidel. So, my friends, those are some stories of Hanukah from around the world in history. I do so hope you enjoyed it. But right now, I want to... I would like to share this with everyone. The universe speaks in many languages, but one voice. It speaks in the language of love. It speaks in the language of strength, in the language of compassion. It is the language of the heart, the language of the soul. It is the voice of our ancestors speaking through us and the voice of our inheritors waiting to be born. It is that small, still voice that says we are one. No matter the blood, no matter the skin, no matter the star, we are one. No matter the pain, no matter the loss, no matter the fear, we are one. And here we are, gathered together in common cause. We agree to this single truth and this single rule that we must be kind to one another, because each voice enriches us and ennobles us, and each voice lost diminishes us. We are the voice of the universe, the soul of creation. We are the fire that will light the way to a better future. We are one. And to end this, I'm asking if everyone would please stand and hold the hand of the person next to you. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May He make His face to shine upon you. May His countenance be upon you and give you peace. Say amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
Ooh, I yanked it out. I didn't.
I didn't even turn the monitors on.
Oh, well, they didn't. I mean, nobody was up there singing.
so-
So.
So just some feedback. There are several people left. I guess they're older and harder of hearing. They could have used a lot more volume.
Okay. I tried to turn.
Yeah. And it may be